Star Wars movies and TV shows. All right, let's see. So, all right, the ones I haven't seen Resistance. Haven't seen this Resistance. Oh my God, they got it split into seasons. Jesus Christ. Mandalorian, it's good. The first 2 seasons are probably S, and the 3rd season is probably like a B or a C. I don't know. So overall, it's like an A. I like it a lot. Then we got Clone Wars. I'm just gonna like treat this as like every season of the Clone Wars. Clone Wars is undeniably S. It's some of the best Star Wars that exists, like of all time. It's better than some of the movies. I love it a lot. Let's move these. But then there's the Clone Wars movie, which isn't the season, but the series, but it's actually just a movie. And I think that's like it's like a C. I remember thinking it was just generally okay and like somewhat boring, I guess. But there's like some memorable stuff. Like I remember this cool shot on Tatooine with Dooku or something. I don't know. That's the one thing I liked. Solo's pretty forgettable. And I remember not enjoying it. It felt, to me, Solo felt a lot like a Marvel movie, kind of. It felt like it had the generic like action pieces and it just felt very generic to me and very Marvel movie-like. So C, I guess. More Clone Wars. Let's replace this one with the final season because it's cooler. Yes. Rogue One is probably an A. I remember liking Rogue One a lot, but I haven't seen it in a very long time. Episode 4 is probably an A. It's nice and simple, I guess, and it has room to breathe for its scenes, which I like a lot, but I also haven't seen this in a very long time. Then we have Revenge of the Sith, which is, I think, the only thing better than Revenge of the Sith in Star Wars is probably the Revenge of the Sith novelization. It's probably the best Star Wars that's ever been made. But Revenge of the Sith is a close second, so we'll put it in S tier. Then we have episode 9, which is probably a B. I like a lot of the Palpatine stuff there, but a lot of the Kylo and Rey stuff and their fight on the Death Star, like water, Endor, or whatever it was. However, the desert party stuff and yeah, just all that desert introductory stuff, desert stuff, all the rebellion stuff, I find that all pretty boring, so that'll balance it out to a B tier. Episode 1 is A. It's the most boring of the prequels, but it's still really good, I guess. Like the fight at the end, obviously that's a really famous fight. The Duel of the Fates, it has a really good soundtrack. The effects look really great. It's just like slightly boring, I guess, compared to all the other ones. Empire Strikes Back. I haven't seen this in a very long time, but I remember when I went through like maybe 5 or 6 years ago and I rewatched all the original trilogy, this did stand out to me as like, I knew that people like really like this one, but even when I reflected on it, I'm like, which of the 3 do I like the best? This probably was the one I liked the best, so I really like Empire Strikes Back. Bad Batch is very good sometimes. I think overall it's probably like a 3 to a 4 out of 5. I'd probably give it a B overall generally, but I haven't seen the 3rd season yet. What else? Visions is like, overall as a concept, season 1 is like probably up there with like Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith as some of the best Star Wars that's like ever come out. Season 2 was less interesting to me because it was like, instead of like season 1, which was an anthology series where every episode was made by a different anime studio in Japan, they got various other studios across the world to do season 2. And I'm more of an anime fan than an animation fan, so I enjoyed season 1 a lot more. But S overall. Then we got Rebels. Rebels is an A. It's not quite as good as the Clone Wars, which was more anthology-like and had a more like I like the prequel trilogy characters, so it was a lot more fun to kind of see them fleshed out. But Rebels kind of has its own set of characters and tells a nice like contained story with those characters across 4 seasons, and it has a lot of really good stuff that would be an S tier, but overall I think it's probably A. What else is there? Boba Fett. Boba Fett has really good stuff at the beginning with the Boba being with the sand, what do you call them? The Tusken Raiders. Like that was really good, the sand people. But then I think it fell apart a little bit toward the end. I wasn't too interested in his like Tatooine, like being the ruler of that little Jabba's whatever. Like I wasn't too invested in that. And I think like the final fight was a bit goofy, but other than that, it had some really good stuff. It had probably one of the best episodes of all of the TV shows, which is the Luke Skywalker episode, where it was like a magical moment when I saw Luke Skywalker come to life thanks to the magic of AI and CGI. It was great. Is that everything, I guess? No, Mandalorian, we already talked about that. Oh, I guess I don't know what they missed out on a lot. There's like Obi-Wan would be in probably D/Obi-Wan tier. I really didn't like Obi-Wan. There's probably overall it was really felt clumsy. Now I can't even give you examples of why it felt clumsy because I just haven't thought about it too much. I didn't like any of the designs of the sets and stuff. It felt very barren and not very well lived in or anything. I hated the effects of the lightsabers, which were glowing so much that I could like, it just felt like they were over flooding the scene with like blue light. I remember hating that. I felt like it retread a lot on the stuff that was covered with Vader in Rebels, and it felt like, oh, we're just seeing a similar thing, but in live action. I didn't feel connected to Obi-Wan's struggle much. I liked Leia, like the little Leia, that was like a good aspect of it. I enjoyed the one flashback they had to the episode 2 stuff with Anakin and I just realized that I like completely skipped these. I don't know why. With Anakin and Anakin and Obi-Wan like fighting, but I wish they like de-aged it. It's like they intentionally tried not to de-age it. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. These are all like niche surface level criticisms, but I had a lot of issues with Obi-Wan. Anyway, but the final fight, I like, well, not the final fight, I didn't like the final fight, but I like the last bit of dialogue or whatever, where he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did, or whatever. That was really cool. I like that stuff. And it's so cool to get Hayden Christensen back, so that was pretty sick. Anyway, we also have episode 2, which is S tier, love it. It's so great. It has the Obi-Wan, like, it's like a mystery, half mystery, where it's like, what is going on? Why is there this person who's trying to assassinate the senator? And Obi-Wan's like going down that like line of thought, like, Jesus, like subplot where it's like in following his travels as he like follows this thread that eventually leads to like this crazy climactic battle. That element was really cool. And on the other hand, it has an Anakin Padme love storyline that I think was also really cool. And it was good to see like the internal workings of a fascist leader in action, you know? They should be made to if they don't agree or whatever. It was just fun. It was really cute. I like their little time on their little, what planet were they on? Were they on Naboo? I don't even remember. It's been so long. I need to rewatch episode 2, but I love episode 2. It's great. It also introduces the, what is it, Across the Stars or something? Whatever the theme is for Padme and Anakin's love. That's a great theme. Anyway, then we have not the Rise of Skywalker. We have episode 8, The Last Jedi. This is really good. The majority of this movie is really good. The only aspect I don't really like is the Canto Bight. That was this one, right? Like the gambling stuff. I thought that was really boring. But other than that, I liked every aspect. I liked Luke. I know a lot of people have an issue with Luke, but I thought it was pretty good. I liked Luke's final confrontation with Kylo. That was really great. I liked the general slow-paced chase of like race through like hyperspace or whatever. That was a really fun aspect. I like the hyperspace ramming thing. Anyway, what else? That's everything, right? Ahsoka would probably be A. No, it'd probably be A. Overall, I enjoyed it a lot. It felt like a live-action Rebels for the beginning. I really liked that they went to a new galaxy, but I think they really undermined they had a really good premise of like, whoa, what's life outside the galaxy? Because every single Star Wars project so far has always been about like in a galaxy far, far away. And now we're actually leaving that galaxy, what it's going to be like. And the Thrawn stuff was so good. However, the galaxy they went to did not feel like another galaxy, and that completely let it down. Then there was some some really bad fights in the last episode. I think it's like the last 2 episodes of that show probably like let it down. But other than that, it was really good. So I'd probably give it a A or B. I don't know, one of those. Andor, S. It's not here. I don't know if I talked about it. Andor's very good. It's very mature. It's very unlike any other Star Wars thing. It doesn't really feel like you need to know anything about Star Wars to watch it. There's a really cool monologue from the Dune guy, whatever. Now I know him as the Dune guy, whatever his name is. I don't even remember his name. He was really cool. I liked him. He gave a cool speech. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. The prison planet stuff, that was great. It's not even a planet, I guess. The prison, good stuff. Love it. I almost cried in the second last episode when he's thinking about his mum dying or something. I know it was great. And anyway, I just realized that I also forgot these two. So there's episode 7, The Force Awakens. This is definitely an S tier movie. It was a great, it was one of the most exciting times watching a Star Wars movie. I think it was probably, besides Revenge of the Sith, which was the first Star Wars movie I actually watched in the cinema, but it was actually the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. The Force Awakens was the first movie where I was actually a fan, and then I got to see it in the cinema, so it was exciting for that experience. I think it's a great, very similar to how simple the first movie was. This also felt like quite a simple movie, where you have like a new main character. You got Rey, you know, she's living on this desert planet, and then she like goes and has a wider life where she's, you know, living in this, she's having experiences in space, and it was really cool. I think the visual effects are really good. I remember the lightsabers stand out, especially. I think they probably looked the best in, maybe not this movie, but the sequels. The lightsabers just look really good in general. I don't know much to say. I like the little Rey when she's like going, "No, come back." That was like really good. That stood out to me for some reason. I liked when Kylo Ren is like using the Force to like freeze Rey in the spot. That was so cool. I remember the first scene when Kylo's like freezing a blaster bolt. Oh my god, that was so epic. God, anyway, there's a lot to love about that movie. It's S. Then we have the last one here, which is episode 6, Return of the Jedi, or Revenge of the Jedi, as I think the initial name was. I think this is an A. I think it could potentially be moved up to an S if I watch it again, because I think this is actually pretty similar to The Rise of Skywalker in what I like and don't like about it, or my overall take, which is that I think the beginning of this movie I don't find very interesting at all when they're on like this sand planet, which, you know, is Tatooine and Jabba's palace. I'm just trying to make a reference here to when they're like partying in a sand planet in Rise of Skywalker or whatever. I find the beginning of this movie pretty boring, and it could last for quite a long time. But even then, it's not that boring. Like, it's still got some interesting stuff going on. Like, it's like a nice, we're invading this palace, and it's a mystery. It's like, who's under this helmet, and who's trying to rescue Han Solo, and is it another bounty hunter? What's going on? So there's some interesting stuff at the beginning. But I think the latter stuff, like all the stuff on the Death Star with like Vader and Luke and Palpatine, and even the stuff on, is it Endor? It's been so long. I think Endor's like or is it like a one of the moons of Endor or whatever, wherever all the Ewok stuff is happening and Han Solo's like getting into this place. All that stuff is really good. So that would probably be S tier and A tier. Overall, it's averaging to an A tier. Tales of the Jedi, which I'm going to keep it short. It's absolutely S tier. I love it. It's got like 2 different stories. It's got the Ahsoka stuff, the Count Dooku stuff. I think all of that is really good. I think the first episode is probably the weakest, which is like an Ahsoka, like when she's like a baby and her upbringing story or whatever, or like her being discovered as a Jedi, like that story. That was kind of like, okay, I was like a 3 or a 4 out of 5. But I think everything else in that is like perfect. And if you want to hear me talk more about it, go look at that digest in January, I think, of 2023, and I talked more about it. But yeah, that's also in S tier. And that's it, the Star Wars tier list.